So mental health. So
Yeah.
men's mental health, right? That's something that has been on your heart. Something that, you've been really pushing for and really talking about.
Right.
As we just mentioned, walking with people, because people can definitely tend to feel alone, right? And I think specifically for men, we're not, I don't say wired, I guess you can't say wired sometimes, but we're not open to talking about how we feel
Right.
as much as a woman would,
Yep.
right? I think women naturally, they will express how they feel, whether that's to each other, whether it's to us, if you're married. I think it just comes naturally for women. But for men, we don't.
No.
We don't like to talk about how we feel.
No.
We kind of just leave it to ourselves, right?
Sure.
Keep it to ourselves, keep it inside. And as we know now, right, that is not the right way.
Not at all.
That is not the best way either.
Not at all.
Because a lot of that, I just look at it as like a pot of boiling water.
Right.
And it's just like eventually, that lid is, you don't take the lid off of that thing, it's gonna spill out.
For sure.
It's just gonna end not well. And so men's mental health, man.
Yeah.
Depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, we have lost some brothers and that we've served with.
Yes.
To these things, that these men that have struggled with mental health and struggled with thoughts and depression, anxiety, all of, you name it, man. I think it hits different when you actually know somebody
For sure.
that have struggled with
Yeah.
it, right? I mean, there's still questions, right? We're gonna ask questions forever. Like, why this? Why did you do that? I wish I could have stepped in earlier. All these things. But at the end of the day, it's honestly just opening up and talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Right, talking to somebody. So speak to that. I know you've mentioned you've been doing some therapy and stuff,
Yes.
right? You've experienced a lot of trauma in your life since a child, up to your adult years. Speak to that mental health. Like how has it affected you, and where you are now mentally because of the steps that you've taken?
Yeah.
Where are you at now with
Yeah.
it?
Like you said, so we lost a couple friends. And for me, I think that was like the eye opener to understanding certain things and trying to understand a lot more. I dealt with it. I probably dealt with mental health issues, I'll say, before I even realized I was dealing with mental health issues, right? And I think that's part of the issue is sometimes we don't think we can possibly go through it, right? Like it's not that. I'm being soft,
Yeah.
or or whatever the case may be. And I think for me that was the biggest part was denial. That was the first part. It was the denial, like, nah, this can't be me. That ain't. Hey, you're stronger than that. You're tougher than that. And I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it at all. And it wasn't until probably say about 3-4 years ago. 3-4 years ago, I had reached a point where I was just like, never happy. Nothing made me happy. Super stoic. I was just going through the motions. I just thought I was tired. I'm just exhausted.
Yeah.
Right? I'm exhausted. But I was real snappy, real defensive.
Yeah.
And I didn't know where that was coming from either.
Yeah.
But it was like a random day. It was a random day. I'm at work. This is when I'm still wearing the uniform. Random day I'm at work. And it just hit me. It was just like, you got to talk to somebody. And so that was the first time I went to the mental health section in the clinic, and I self-referred. Hey, I need to talk to somebody. I ain't no appointment.
Yeah.
The good thing is with most military clinics, you can self-refer. You can walk up, and their policy is you will speak to somebody that day. It's not going to be all right, well, go back. We'll schedule an appointment. Like, if you walk up to that desk and say you need to talk to somebody, they will get you somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made. Put my pride aside. I put my, my negative outlooks about therapy aside because I was the type of person that like, you don't need to go to no therapy, bro.
Nobody gonna know my problems.
Yeah, nobody knows you better than you.
Exactly.
So how are they gonna help you,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I truly believe that, and I was just like, nah, I'm good. And then obviously the unfortunate military stigma, with the job we had as gun toters, like you're gonna lose your gun, you're gonna lose your opportunity to grow, and it's gonna weigh against you.
It's gonna affect your career.
It's gonna affect your career. It's
Yeah.
gonna do all these things. So I'm like, nah, but I put that to the test.
Yeah.
But because I think I'm going to say weak enough, but what I found out through therapy was I was strong enough. But I got weak enough in my mind that I needed help. I needed to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Which in reality was probably one of the strongest things I did was I was able to have the courage to ask for help.
Yeah.
Which in itself is strength. But
Right.
we look at it as weakness,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
so it's just a bad outlook on
Right.
it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was great for me, And I've been going to therapy ever since.
Good.
I've been going to therapy ever since. And even now being out of the military, I still go through therapy through the VA. And it's been so beneficial for me because it's allowed me to open my eyes and see so much. Because like you said, as men, we bury a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And the problem with burying it is you're not handling it. You're just pushing it. Well, you only can push it but so far.
Yeah.
And that's going to keep stacking and stacking and stacking. And eventually it's going to come out. And unfortunately, a lot of times it comes out in a way we don't want it to.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's going to always be the worst case scenario, but it's going to normally come out in a way we don't want it to. And it's going to rear its ugly face. At some point, if you don't just go get the help that you need. Get the help that you need. And the thing that I learned is getting the help doesn't mean nothing's wrong with you.
Right.
It just means you need some help navigating through whatever this situation is, which is okay. And it doesn't mean you got to wait until you're broken to get help. And I think that's the thing I wish I would have done more is ask for help before I got here.
Yeah.
Before I got to the point of feeling broken.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of times when people talk about it, they're like, oh, it's okay to be broken. I think that's the thing. And I appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that the talks about mental health and things of that nature are becoming so regular and not taboo. However, it's not okay to be not okay, right? Like, because you don't have to wait till you're at that point.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I want to get people to say. It is okay to go through something and it's okay to deal with it. And it's okay to be sad, angry.
Yeah. Some natural emotions.
Yeah, and it's okay to sometimes feel like you are going through your depression and your things of that day. But what I don't want us to do is get so comfortable in the thought that it's okay to not be okay. Yeah. That we make it a norm. Yeah. And not get the help that we need for it. Like, I understand the notion. I understand where it comes from. Where it's it's okay to go through those things. But I want you to get help. I want people to get help. It's not okay that you are feeling that bad, though, because there are things to help you not feel that way. Life's going to happen. Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to reach that point, But that's the thing that I think I had to learn for myself was that what you're feeling is not okay, though. It's okay that you got there, yes. But what you're feeling is not okay. Right. And you need help. And I got the help. And it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. I learned it in one of the classes that I'm taking too, like you were saying, that men, we tend to deal with depression and anxiety with anger or alcohol abuse. Those are the top two things that we tend to handle it with. Right. And I think I handled it with both, unfortunately.
Same here.
And women, on the inverse, they call it like, they tend to be friend. They want to interact. They want to mingle, which ultimately is probably, honestly, why rates of suicide are a lot lower in women than they are in men. In men, yeah. Because we handle it all the wrong ways. Right. We handle it with anger, or do we handle it with alcohol? And alcohol is a depressant. It's not helping. It's not helping, but we try to drink our sorrows away, not realizing that we're making the sorrows even worse, digging ourselves into a pit even worse. And I know for me, that was a heavy thing. I drink a lot. But I looked at it like it was normal because, the military culture said says that that's a normal thing.
Uh-huh.
That's just how we celebrate.
Yep.
That's how we mourn. That's how we celebrate success.
That's how we have fun.
How we have fun. That's how we get over bad situations.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is the thing, right? And I realized I was just doing myself so much damage. Luckily.
Yeah.
But I'm in a much better place now.
Yeah.
Do I still deal with some things? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I still have my battles? Absolutely. But I can say that getting help, going to therapy, seeking therapy was one of the single best decisions that I made for myself.
Yeah.
As a man.
Yeah.
Because I'm like I said earlier, I'm not a selfish person. Pretty selfless person because I just like people, right?
Yeah.
And I invest in people. But I learned that it was okay to be a little selfish in order to be the most selfless person that I can be.
That's good. Yeah.
If I could take care of me, I will be the best servant that I can possibly be.
Yeah.
If I can focus on making me better,
Right.
I will in turn be better in all my other roles, which will help my desire to be selfless.
Yeah.
If I could just be a little selfish and focus on me, take time for me, get the help that I need, focus on me once a month, twice a month, whatever it is, I will be a better father.
Yeah,
a better husband, a better friend, a better coworker. I will be better at all those things if I take a little time to focus on me. And that is, oh my Lord, has made such a huge difference in my life. And in my spiritual journey. Ironically enough, right? Like, because that was also part of my thought was, I don't need help. I believe in God, but God's going to help me.
Right.
And I'll just pray. I'll pray about it. And I think it's nothing wrong with that. It's good to have that solid foundation. But again, faith without works is dead.
That's right.
And I think God wanted me to see I needed to find ways to work on myself to be better. I claimed I wanted to be better, and I claimed I wanted to be this better person and all those other things, but I was just burying all these emotions and angers and trauma that I had and not dealing with it. Yeah. And I think it was something to be said about going to therapy. It didn't take away from my faith. It didn't take away from my belief in God or anything like that. It was just another step that I think he led me to because I needed it. You say you want to do all this stuff. Yeah. You say you want to be better. Go get better.
Go get better, yeah.
Go get better. And I did it. And it's been a blessed journey. Yeah. I'm still within it, like I said, and I still go.
That's good.
Pretty regularly. Will there be a time that I don't go? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And there was a time where I used to be ashamed to say it, but no, I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think it's a good thing. And I think that through it, I've able to kind of do some of the things we talked about earlier and accomplish some of those things. I don't know if I would have accomplished if I didn't work on me.
Yeah, absolutely. That saying, right? You can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
Right? You can't pour from an empty cup. And if you're empty, let alone how are you supposed to pour into someone else's life, right? And if you are, then you're pouring from. Are you genuine?
Yeah. What are you? Where are you pouring?
Where are you pouring from? Right? And it brings me back to there's a scripture that says, I believe it's in 1 Timothy. He says, confess your sins to one another and pray for one another so that you may be healed. Right? That is so important, right? And yes, confess your sins to one another, meaning, if you sin against your brother, confess that. But just the word confession. Yeah. Right? I think that's a bad word. Like people are like, oh, confess. Like that's a bad word. Like, no, you're just saying, you're speaking, right? You're saying something, right? Because when you can say something about if you're harboring something, if you're having some bad thoughts and you just leave it to yourself to figure it out, there is a beauty when you can find, whether it's a therapist, a counselor, or another brother, right? A close friend, and say, yo, like, I've been thinking these things. Yeah. Right there, there's healing right there. Yeah. Just getting it out. Just getting it out. Just getting it out, right? But we're so reluctant to do that. Yeah. We're so reluctant to pull someone aside and say, bro, I'm struggling.
Yep.
You know, and I believe, I think if you think on a more like microculture, like something that we're familiar with is, you know, in the military, just the culture. I mean, I think it's changing.
For sure.
I think the culture is definitely changing.
For sure.
But the culture that we came up in was exactly that.
Yeah.
You know, like you deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, and I think for us coming up in almost the law enforcement world, right? In the military, you know, it's like you almost, I guess you're almost expected to have it all together. You know, you're almost expected because you got to go out there and enforce things. Yeah. You know, and it's crazy how that bleeds into your personal life. You know, it bleeds, and I will never forget, man. I remember when my first duty station, I was in Hawaii, and you know, I was going through some marital things, and I had just gotten back from deployment too.
Yeah.
You know, I was gotten back from deployment and going through it. You know, first sergeant ordered, like, you guys are gonna go through MFLAC or whatever it is, right? Marital counseling. And I remember the counselor, she was talking to me, and she was like, do you ever think that your job causes you to have the mindset you have, as far as, like, you know, you're very authoritative, and you're, you know, you feel like you have to be right all the time. Mm-hmm. You have to, you know, like there's this perception of like the authority that I have in my job, you know, I can bring that home and assert myself in that way in the home as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember sitting there, and I think at the time I was like, what, 20, 21, maybe, young. I think I was in denial. You know, I was just like, nah, like, you know, but little did I know, man, that really influenced the way that I was.
Right.
You know, and then let alone just coming back from Iraq at the time, you know, and not even realizing the things that I experienced, you know, and how that affected my personal life.
Right.
It took me separating from the military to even realize that I had PTSD, depression, anxiety, and all of that, right? Like, it was crazy. I laugh at it now, but I remember when I was applying for, you know, my VA benefits, and because of my whole career, I never went to mental health.
Right.
Never did any of that. Right. I was just one of those guys. Like, I'll deal with it on my own. I got it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to open up to anybody. And, you know, and so I remember applying for my VA benefits, and you know, and you go on there to ask you, like, what are you going to claim? Mm-hmm. You know, and I was like, well, I guess I could claim PTSD, you know, and that's to the extent.
Yeah.
Okay. PTSD, you know, I get, you know, I get uncomfortable in these situations, and, you know, because of, you know, maybe things that I've experienced, you know, in past deployments or whatever. And so I remember applying, putting that on there. And so they set you up with all your appointments. And I remember seeing the psychologist, and I remember sitting there, and she was like, okay, you're claiming PTSD. I was like, yeah. She was like, okay, well, tell me about your history, your military history, you know, deployments, where you've been, what you've done, what you've seen. Okay. So I start talking. And she's like, wow, like you went through a lot, and a lot of it really affected you at home. I was like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, look at your marriage when you came back. Look at, you know, your habits, your alcohol habits, how you viewed relationships, how you viewed all these things, right? Like, and I never saw it that way because I was just functioning.
Yeah.
I was just functioning, you know, I was functioning to the point where I guess I was just ignorant of my mental health, and it came out in my behavior, but I didn't even think what I was doing was, I guess, wrong or concerning.
Yeah.
You know, there are so many times, bro, that I should have gotten in trouble, bro. Like, I should have gotten kicked out. And I look forward, you know, like I look now, and I'm like, man, by the grace of God, bro, like
Right.
he was looking out.
Yeah.
Because even in those moments that I didn't believe, I look back now and I'm like, man, he had his hand over me because he knew I was going to come to him one day.
Right.
You know, but if it wasn't for the flight chiefs, the kennel masters that I had that cover my butt when I was wilding out and doing some crazy things, like I don't know if I would be sitting here having this conversation with you.
Right.
You know, and
That's real.
But it's like, but I was unaware of it.
Yeah.
I didn't get the help. You know, I didn't put the time in to really sit down and think. I was just like covered up with alcohol. I'll drink a lot.
Yeah.
Like it's bad when you get off a shift and you're like, I gotta have a drink.
Yeah.
You know, I just can't wait to get home so I can drink some.
Yep.
You know, and I look back, I'm like, bro, I was depressed.
Facts.
Bro, I was dealing with all these things, you know, and like I didn't realize that. So I remember after that meeting with the psychologist, she was like, okay, well, no, I'm definitely gonna get PTSD, and she's like, you have a major depressive disorder, and I was like, excuse me? She was like, that's a major depressive. Everything you have talked about that you're experiencing or you have experienced in your life, after deployments and after all, you know, everything in your career, everything that you suppressed, everything that you know, like didn't talk about, like look how that all bled out in your life.
Right.
Like, and you know, you're just realizing it now getting out of the military.
Right.
And I'm like, holy smokes.
Bro.
Like that's crazy.
That is.
You know, but again, goes back to culture, man.
Yep.
The culture that we were raised in was shut up and color, do your job.
That's it.
Do your job and don't even think about saying something because we need you on the road.
Yeah, you gotta do your
We
job.
need you to go post out.
Yeah.
We need you to go, you know, like, and it's almost like I get it, the mission has to go on, but it's like, do we sacrifice people's mental health, you know, for the sake of the mission?
Yeah.
You know, like there has to be some way somehow that we got to be better. And I think we are getting better as a culture in the military. It is getting better because there's so much awareness around it now. Because I mean, look at military suicides.
Yeah.
High. It was at an all-time high.
Yeah.
You know, but I think now that it's much more aware. I think there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And honestly, just encouraging people to talk. It's crazy how we can go out and have fun and go TDY and go do all these things and, you know, have all these great, but we can't confess to each other.
Right.
We can't talk to each other
Yeah.
about these deep, dark things that, you know, that where we're thinking.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, I definitely think culture, you know, had a lot to play in that. And that, no, I'm so glad that, I mean, you took it upon yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part is taking it upon yourself to go and not even caring what people are going to say.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because it's almost ingrained in us.
It is.
You know, it's crazy. Like you don't
is.
think about it, but you look back and you're like, man, the mentality that I had.
Yeah.
You know, the mentality that I had.
And I think it's like you said, right? We got this culture that I do think is changing. But for me, it was just like, I felt like I ain't had no control over it, which is weird for me because I'm a pretty self-aware person. So when I was at this point of like not understanding, I'm like, something ain't right. 'Cause
Yeah.
I normally, I got this. I'm
Right.
good, you know? So yeah, I kind of had to put it all aside. I couldn't care what nobody said. I just, or I don't even know if I didn't care what anybody would think. I think at that moment I was just so lost in it
Yeah.
that I don't think I was thinking about anything else at that moment. It was just go. Just go. Like I'd had a rough stretch and it was just like, you just got to go. You know what I mean? And like you said, I was fortunate enough to be able to kind of take it upon myself and do it. But to your point, as you were saying, so many people, they just don't know.
You don't.
You know, you didn't know.
Yeah.
You didn't know. In your mind, you were pro quo. You was operating at a normal status. I'm doing what I do. You know what I mean? The culture allowed you to feel like the drinking is a normal thing.
Yeah.
You know, because I can definitely relate to that. I was the same way.
Yeah.
I'm coming in, I'm cracking a brew. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm coming in, I might even take a shot with it. Mm-hmm. You know, I just, you know, or I need to take this shot to even sleep. You know what I mean? I need to, you know what I mean? Right. It was just so many things that like, that I was dealing with that I didn't even realize it. But like, to your point, like you didn't know. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is that so many people just don't know. Yeah. Even though the conversation is growing, even though the culture is shifting. Yeah. I think so many people don't know. So to me, that's the more puzzling part, is we still are dealing with suicide. We're still dealing with it at a pretty high rate. And yes, people are a little bit more forthcoming with talking, going to therapy and stuff like that. But those are the people that recognize it. Yes. I think so many people still don't recognize it. They just don't know, because the culture still says, I got to do this. The mission says this. We got to do this. And you're kind of, if you're raised in a good environment, or even if you weren't, you join the military and you kind of learn people are relying on me, which kind of fuels that I can't let them down. Right. So I know they need me on the gate that day. Yep. I know they need me on patrol. Yep. You know what I mean? Canine handlers. My dog needs me. Yep. You know, whatever the case may be, there are things that make us say, all right, I'll do it next time. Yeah. I'll go next time. I'll go later. And then unfortunately, for some of the people we have seen and many people across all branches, the DOD, tomorrow doesn't come. Yep. And it's because they didn't know. They didn't know that they were there. They didn't know that some of the things that they were doing, you know, you gave several examples of how it was bleeding into your life. Yeah. But you didn't see it. You didn't see it. You didn't know. And I think that's the thing that, you know, we got to focus on. I think that's the thing that will help. I don't know how we get fully ahead of it. Yeah. You know, but I think that's one of the things that help is just getting the education out of here. This is what this looks like. But it doesn't necessarily look like this. But yeah, it's going to show itself in a lot of ways. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that if we can get the education out there, continue to get the education out there, hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully we see a shift. I was fortunate, like you said. I was able to recognize it. I'm in a much better place now, but that is in no way, shape, or form say that I'm where I need to be. You know, I think mental health is a journey that just, I don't know if it ever ends. You know, I think it's a forever journey, because you're going to constantly grow, you're going to constantly learn, but life is going to constantly happen. Yeah. Something else is going to knock you back down. Exactly. Something else is going to shift. And I think the thing that we also, which I've learned through therapy and learned in some of the, you know, I'm back in school now and in college. Some of the things I've learned in some of my classes is that sometimes the things that throw us off the most are the good things. And we don't realize that. The things that throw us off the most, we did this survey in my, I'm in this class right now called Stress Management for the Helping Profession. Okay. So it's those of us that are pursuing psychology, behavior degrees or something like that. And maybe at one day we'll be a counselor or something like that. We got to manage our own stress too. Yeah. So it's teaching us how to do that as well. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting in the class is one of the things that they rate highly for causing stress in your life are good things. Promotions.
That's crazy.
Birth of a child. Yeah. Buying a new house. Buying a new car. These are all things that are you know, attesting to your success. Yeah. To how good you are. But they're rated actually pretty highly on the stress index because they cause a change in life that sometimes ripples effect into bad things. Yeah. You don't even realize it. And you don't even realize it because in your mind, that's a great thing. Yeah. And it is. You're not wrong. But again, you don't know what it's doing to you, though, internally. Right. Internally, your cortisol levels are raising because it's causing stress. And unfortunately, your body doesn't always interpret the good stress and the bad stress. Right. There is such things, right? There's good stress. Yeah. You know, there's eustress, which is considered good stress, new stress, which is neutral stress, and then distress, which is the bad stress. Right. Right. we don't realize though that sometimes those good events in life are altering to your life. So because they're altering your life, they change the norm. They send your routine maybe out of whack, or they change the way that you pay your bills, or the way that you do things,
Right.
which snowballs over time
Yeah.
and sometimes can lead to the distress.
Yeah.
So I think it's something to be said about understanding all the things in your life.
Yeah.
And being able to see it.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm sure probably at parts of your life, you probably thought life was good.
Yeah.
Life is really good.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And not realizing, compounding with some of the distress that you had in life, some of the trauma that you had in life, those good things that were happening were just adding to it.
Oh, yeah.
They're just adding to it. And it's like, because you never handled it, it creates a thing, right? Like it creates a thing. And now you look back at it and you're like, PTSD, depression, anxiety. How did I get here? Right? It wasn't just one thing.
No.
It wasn't just one thing. And I'd beg to say that it wasn't all bad things.
Right.
Some of those good things attributed to what you ended up at. And I think if we can just continue the conversation. I'm glad that it's growing, and I'm glad that it's coming out. It's about continuing it. So
I have a buddy that says, man, everything affects everything.
It does.
Everything affects everything. And I'm thinking right as you're talking, and it's like, you know, and maybe someone is not aware. Maybe someone is out there, a young Jesse, right? A young Aquino out there right now that is just like, you're just functioning. Right? You're just functioning.
Yeah.
And it took me, you know, like I said, post-military to realize this. But, you know, and if I can encourage somebody out there, take an account for your life and reflect on how you handle things.
Yes.
Right? How do you communicate?
Yeah.
How do you handle conflict? How do you how do you do like for me, it's like getting to the root of those things.
Yeah.
Because you don't realize that the way you were raised, your upbringing, right? Everything, the traumas that come with it, that affects how you handled things as an adult.
As an adult, right.
As an adult. And if you never get to the root of that, right? Or at least, if you never get to the root of that, you know, you may always be a passive person.
Yeah.
For me, I wasn't a great communicator. I tell you this. I knew how to communicate when giving orders.
Yeah.
But I did not know how to communicate when it came to emotions.
Right.
I didn't know how.
Yeah.
Why? Because it really wasn't modeled for me growing up.
Yeah.
I didn't see, my parents having emotional conversations with each other, right? I have great parents. I love my parents, but that just wasn't something that they did.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, my first marriage, I didn't know how to communicate with the spouse.
Yeah.
Let alone communicate my feelings, I'm so grateful now, like my wife, like that's something we are intentional about.
Right.
Communicating.
Yeah.
But I had to learn that post-military, almost like coming, like getting out, like, oh, I had to really take an account for my life. I'm like, man.
After you've been an adult for so long.
Like, man, I really did not know how to communicate how I felt, and we make it a point to communicate in front of our children.
Yeah.
Because if they don't see it in the home, I can't expect them to go and do it outside of my home, outside of the home when they grow up. It's the same thing with conflict, like dealing with conflict. Like we try to expose our kids to, how to deal with conflict, because conflict's gonna come.
It's going to.
Life gonna happen.
Life is gonna life.
It don't matter who you are, what you believe, like life is gonna hit you.
Yes.
Life is life. Life is gonna life. And, if we don't model to them, and granted, we're not perfect by any means. We don't have it all figured out.
Right.
But what we do know is that there are some things that, we dealt with, as a child, as a child, There are things that maybe we weren't shown as a child, as far as, learning how to do certain things.
Yeah.
And we're aware of that now. And we try our best to include our children into those moments.
Yeah.
Because, if we don't show them, then they're not going to know.
Yeah.
And so, I just encourage somebody, or so maybe if I can encourage anybody right now listening to this and watching this, man, think about your life. Think about how you were raised, the things that you've been through, how you deal with things, and really reflect on that.
Yes.
And go talk to somebody about it. Go talk to, like I said, it doesn't have to be a therapist or a counselor. Go just talk to somebody,
Yeah, get it out.
Just get it out.
Get it out.
Talk to somebody. It's like, man, is it normal to think like this?
Right.
Is it normal to self-preserve all the time? Is it normal to always think the worst of situations? Right. Is it normal to, not want to commit to things?
Right.
Is it normal to do these things? Because a lot of the times it's not.
No, it's not.
It's you're just a product of your upbringing. You're a product of the things that you've experienced. And if you don't get the help, if you don't navigate those waters, with someone by your side, whether, like I said, whether that's a professional or a close friend, man, you could be really left to your own self.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you come from a background that has seen a lot of death, that has, that has a lot of depression, that comes from a lot of anxiety, that you've seen suicide in your family, what can someone else think when they're going through that?
Yeah.
I might as well do it to myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you haven't seen another way, right, or at least gotten help, and someone has spoken to your life and saying, hey, that doesn't have to be the way.
Yeah.
You have to be, you have to be willing to want to get that help, man. Cause you're at a lose almost.
and it's crazy that you said that. It's crazy that you said that. Cause I was just thinking, if there's an issue that I still see, right? We talk about the culture shifting in the military and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. There's an issue that I still see. I think, unfortunately, that's the issue that we're fighting right now is that exactly what you just said. I'm going through hell.
Mm-hmm.
But I know so-and-so, they took their life. They got out of it, And I think right now, we're seeing that because people don't know, they don't feel like they have an avenue or an outlet, and they don't know. But you know what? I know what I do know, and I do know that X, Y, and Z did whatever. Mm-hmm. I want that relief that they had, and I don't know what else to do.
Right.
So I'm gonna do it. Mm-hmm. Ironically enough, I feel like we've seen an uptick. And speaking about the military and military suicides, although the conversation has grown and although the environment has become a little bit more accepting, we have seen an increase in certain suicides in certain career fields and certain paths because I think that people are seeing that and they're seeing so-and-so did it. Mm-hmm. And I don't have nothing else. I don't know what else to do.
Right.
So it worked for them. Maybe it'll work for me too.
Yeah.
And they've reached that point of, unfortunately, feeling like there's no return.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's just talk. Just talk to somebody because we don't realize how much of a difference that can make.
Right.
Just talking, just speaking.
Right.
Let's get it out.
Yeah.
It'll get it out. It'll start. Yeah. But you will find too that you're not the only one going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times we see that you won't understand. They won't understand. Nobody understands me. Oh no, they do.
Oh yeah,
somebody does.
Yeah,
somebody. I promise you, somebody understands you. Somebody out there will get it.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, that is what in a perfect world we would all see it and we would understand that. But obviously we don't live in a perfect world, and so now we just find ways to combat it as much as we possibly can.
Right.
You know, so yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that you said that, because that was definitely something that I was thinking, like, man, like, what is the issue? But I think that's still part of our issue is, you know, I see the person to my left who did this, and I don't, regardless, maybe, you know, they don't understand or their beliefs, regardless of their beliefs or their understanding, that's the answer, is because they got out of it, and
right.
And you know, if you believe that, then they're happy now, right? Like, you know, so. You know, we still, like you said, we still got a long ways to go, but hopefully we can change it as much as we can. It's still still a process, but we got to.
It makes me think, it's funny, like I'm thinking of everything that we've been talking about this whole podcast and this recording, right? Bro, it's so crazy because and in the military, you all work in, you know, you all work for you work in a big group, but then you have your little micro groups that you work within, right?
Yeah, you got your little people.
Yeah, you got your little
cliques.
people, right?
Yeah.
And every person in that group comes from a different background. Comes from different, right? Bro, like, what if the leaders, or just not even the leaders of those micro groups that we're all involved in, can create an environment like your sister and brother-in-law did?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, like you explained that earlier, and I'm just like, man, that's the love of Christ, man.
Yeah.
They brought these people in with traumas. They brought these people in with, you know, things that, you know, like you said, like you guys were looked at as like almost like outcasts. Like, we don't want to associate with you, right? And I it's crazy because like in the military, like we're rough around the edges, bro.
For sure.
You know, we all come from different backgrounds. We could be rough, especially in our career field.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, some of the happiest times that I can say that can reflect on in my career, I was always a part of a group that had a leader that exhibited exactly that.
Yeah.
Love. You know, love.
Yep.
You know, like it was always about love, and it was like, I don't care what you come from, what you believe, like you're like, we got you here.
Yeah.
You know, we got you. And you know, I think about your brother-in-law and your sister, like just that environment they created to bring in these, you know, these kids that have that have been through some traumas, and bring them into a home, and you know, and it was like, and maybe not, you guys didn't have it all together young, but you said, looking at now, you know, like as adults, like you're like, man, we're doing, you know, I can say we're doing well, you know, and what did that take? That took consistency. That took consistency. That took being in your lives, even after you guys maybe have left the house or whatever, but it was just consistently showing up, consistently being in people's lives, consistently loving people. Because absolutely, like we can be a part of these groups, you know, we can be a part of these little micro groups in the military, but man, how often do you really check in on each other after you leave?
Facts.
Right?
Yes.
Like, and because that's where it matters.
Yeah.
That's where it matters, bro. Because you think, man, like, I can't speak for all, but I know a lot of the guys that we've lost that we know of, man, like they weren't here anymore. They weren't here with us here.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, and you know, I can be at fault too for maybe not reaching out, you know, and you know, it just sucks, right, to know that, but it's like, man, like that's why it's so important to have community, to be in each other's lives.
Yeah.
You know, regardless if you're not at the same base or what, but it's like, but you built a foundation there,
right?
Because now it's not just a base specific thing. Like, no, this is like a lifetime brotherhood. This is a lifetime friendship that I don't care, bro. You could be in Japan and you could still call me.
Yep.
You could be wherever in the world and we could still talk.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, it's so important that we create those environments, man, where it's centered on love, man. It's all love, bro.
It
know,
is.
Because I don't think a lot of people get to experience that kind of love.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't come into this even knowing what that means.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I was just thinking, I was just like, man, that's crazy. Like,
I mean, it's a good point. It's a good point. You know, they obviously speak highly of them, but they created that environment that kind of allowed us to grow and learn and become what we were. You know, they fostered a very good environment, a loving environment, to your point. But even now when I talk, to your point, just talking about it, like I think about that, think about how we started, this episode. We started with talking about me and you, how we met, but that goes to show, to your point, where you're talking about fostering, an environment of love. I've always felt that from you, which is why years later, I'm able to reach out and pick your brain and ask for advice about this or what you think about this. You know what I mean? We was at two totally different bases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We were at two totally different bases.
Across the world at one point.
Yeah, at one point we were across the world, and, but I've been fortunate. I've been fortunate enough to have people in my life like that. I have, a person in you who I've talked to time and time again, no matter what the distance has been. I have some really, really close friends that I have that with, with like Montoya, Mike Montoya, Soulsmore, Wild Child, but Soulsmore, Drew Baker, like those are my guys. I still talk to them. I got a group chat with them.
Yeah. That's good.
And we're all in different places. I'm here in Texas. Drew is in Ohio. Montoya's in New Mexico. Soulsmore's in North Carolina. But we still talk pretty regularly. Every UFC fight, we're talking to each other. Football season, we're talking to each other. Yeah, but there's never a time, where I can't reach out to one of them. They can't reach out to me. And I think we know that. It's like you said, it's something to be said about to have that community. And I think, it started with the military, and but we might not have the most communication all the time, but we have each other, and to have each other in that part of ourselves, in that part of our lives. Like you said, it's after. That friendship was great in North Dakota, where we all met.
Yep.
Decade later, states over. Some of us, almost all of us, out of the military. I think Mike's the only one that's still in. The rest of us out of the military, we still talk.
Still talking.
We still check in with each other later. We talk about, Mike's talking about possibly getting promoted. We check in, how'd it go? Did you get promoted? We check in. Eric started a new career. How was that going? We talk to Drew all the time about his career because he got so many fun stories that come with what he does. But we still talk. We still reach out to each other. We don't talk every day. We don't talk all the time. And then when we do talk, it's not even long all the time. Sometimes it's really just simply that. Just reaching out. How you doing, brother? You doing all right? Cool. Everything good? Cool. Hey, all the stuff going on out here in Texas. Did that affect y'all? Y'all good? Something as simple as that, to know you have that. You know what I mean? That does go. It does go a long way. It goes a long way, to have people like that in your corner.
Absolutely. And just, get past the surface level questions too, man. Bro, how's life?
You good?
Like, how's life treating you, bro? Cause we can't keep up with each other's lives all the time.
No.
And so life happens. And so I think sometimes some people need that, you know, like to be asked the question. Sometimes they're not willing to come out forward, but when you're on FaceTime or you're in person, you say, bro, how's life, man? Like, some people can't hide.
You can't. And you don't see it.
And we're like, there's something going on. What's up?
Talk to me.
And so, I think just, getting past those, those surface level questions of, hey, what's up, bro? Everything's good. No, is everything really good?
Is it?
Is everything really good?
Yeah.
You know, and you can
really
see
good,
sometimes people can't hide that, man.
Right.
Some people are great at hiding it. I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of them.
Yeah.
But no, like just learning and experiencing, you know, things. I'm just like, nah, man, we got to get past those surface level questions, man.
sure.
Like, shoot, prime example, like people that, and I speak to the military community, but like people that just recently get out.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, like, you know, was it everything you thought it was gonna be?
Yeah.
It's hard, you
It's
know,
hard.
or whatever, you know, like you don't know, you know, and so it's just, yeah, I think we just gotta, you know, approach it differently than how we always have.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, again, a lot work to come, but I think just having the conversation,
Yeah.
I think just this conversing like this, you know, there's a lot of people that we interact with every day,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know what they're going to get out of this. And I can only pray that, you know, this conversation leads someone
Yeah.
to get help or
Yes,
open up,
for sure.
you know, or reach out to one of us or whoever that may be for you. Right. Because, you know, I think that's the first, you know, victory is just acknowledging like, dang, you know what, I'm struggling. Let me just say it to somebody.
Right.
Let me confess to someone that I trust, you
Yep.
know? And, yeah, man, that's, yeah, it's definitely a topic, you know, a hot topic right now. And I'm glad we can be able to talk about our experiences.
For sure.
You know, openly. I think there's a beauty in being vulnerable.
Yes.
Being vulnerable,
Yes.
you know, and because we have this perception of masculinity, you know, and it's like, oh no, I gotta be a man's man, and I gotta, you know, I gotta show it that I'll have it all together.
Not allowed to be soft or show emotion or anything like that. And I know for a lot of us, we probably heard it. We all probably heard it at some point growing up. Like,
be a man.
You cry like a little girl. Like, why is a crying have to be associated with being a little girl? Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but and some of that is just ingrained in us. And and it's not maliciously, right?
Yeah.
It's not I don't think by any means our families or family members that said it were saying it to belittle us or anything like that. I think that the environment at the time was really that, though. Like, men are not supposed to show that type of emotion. Those are the types of things we got to get by.
And this crazy thing is, they're only doing that because that's what they've been taught.
Yeah, and that's what they were taught.
So it goes cycles.
Yep.
It's just
you gotta break the
generational.
curse. Gotta break it. You gotta break that link.
You gotta break it,
You
man.
gotta break it at some point, and you know, and I understand it to an extent, right? You know, I like I talk to my daughter. She is a girl, obviously, but I still want her to understand too, though. While I want you to show emotion, and it's get it out, you know. And I think for me, I had to learn that and kind of change my pitch on it too, like, but I want you to show emotion. I want you to get it out, but I also want you to understand that not everything deserves your tears, so to speak, right? That's not to say you're not allowed to cry. That's not to say don't cry.
Yeah.
I want you to get it out, but I also want you to understand that sometimes I also want you to understand that life is tough, and not everything is going to deserve to be broken down in such a way. Like, you're going to have to say, okay, that's not that big of a deal. How do we get better from here? How do we get bigger from here? How do we get stronger from here? Whatever the case may be. And then, yes, there are going to be some situations where, hey, let it out.
Let it go.
Let it out.
Let it out.
It's okay, you know. So I think that is too a big is a big topic for me in my life right now, and I hope becomes a big topic for other people is emotional intelligence and the understanding the ins and outs, the when tos and when not tos, and understanding that certain things are okay, are acceptable, but also knowing how to get better from them,
right?
You know, and grow from them and get stronger from them and things of that nature, but also how to accept certain things as well, because I think that's part of the issue too. You were talking about communication, and you know, one of the things I love is how you and your wife make it an intentional thing to communicate. I think that's another thing we got to do in life is understand that we have to do a lot more things with intent.
Yes.
It's a purpose of why we're doing certain things.
Right.
You know, and I love that, but I love that you guys are intentional about communicating and effectively communicating, because I think that's the part we're missing sometimes right now is people are like, well, communication is important. Yeah. Okay, but what is that? What does that look like? Yeah. You know, and in one of the classes I'm in again, the question we were asked actually last week in class was, what is one of the most common downfalls of communicating? And it gave us like a list of things, and I can't remember what the list was. And he was asking us, he was like, what do y'all think the biggest downfall of communication is? Like, what do you think people lack the most at? And, we're all saying the wrong thing. None of us said it, the right thing, but all of us are like, oh, people don't know how to speak to people. Or people they don't want to speak to people, or or one of the hardest things about communicating is you don't trust the other person. We're saying all these things, but it all came from the same thing. And he was laughing because he's laughing as we're saying it. And he said, and I knew all of y'all were going to do that. And because we talk about communication, we focus so much on the delivery. We focus so much on the delivery, the person that's delivering the message. I don't want it to be spoken to like that, or you're talking to this, or you're talking to this, or. And he said, but you know what? He said, what the most common thing is listening. He said, but you know why that's the most common downfall? He said, it's because when you do studies, almost always, when people write down their things, if they do a survey on communication, almost always, everybody's going to say they're a good listener. He said, because people truly believe they are when they're not.
Yeah.
He said, so that's one of the things I want y'all as a class to focus on is, are you a good listener? And truly working on being a good listener if you're not, like, because that is part of communication. Yeah. We always think about the message.
Right.
That's being delivered. Rarely how we receive it.
Yeah.
Because you automatically think, I'm a good listener. I'm a great listener. Like, are you?
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
That matters. That's a part of the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so, to that point, I think that's the part that we miss, because I think that is also to the point why so many people don't want to talk to people.
Yeah,
because they know that you're not listening.
Right.
You hear them, but you're not listening.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think that is a big factor on. I think that will help the conversation around all this, but maybe make people become a little bit more forthcoming, because they will truly, if they truly feel heard, I think people will speak. I think part of the reason people don't talk is because they don't believe nobody's going to listen. One
of the biggest things that I had to learn when you talk about being a good listener, right? I was terrible at listening. Like I said, I thought I was a good listener.
Yeah.
One of the things I had to learn was that I was listening to respond.
Right.
Versus listening to understand somebody.
Yep.
And I had to think back. I was like, man, like, where did I learn that from? Like, how did I learn how to listen that way?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, like, it's crazy when your identity is so much wrapped up in your job and your career. And, like, I go back to, like, just being trained as a law enforcement professional, right? You're listening to respond, right? You're listening to, like, okay, I need the facts. And now I need to make a determination. Right. And so I took that, because like I said, I don't think I was really taught that growing up.
Yeah.
I just wasn't how I was brought up. And so I take the first ever way of being trained to listen, and it's, I think are there times where you have to, you do listen to respond? Absolutely.
Right.
But man, how much more important it is to listen to understand.
Yeah.
Listening when someone is talking.
Yeah.
And not so much of, okay, like you're trying to read between the lines.
Yeah.
Like you're listening, but you're like, okay, I'm trying to read between the lines of what this person is trying to say.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to understand the message they're trying to, deliver. Trying to understand that, but man, there's also these little things that they are saying, these little words that they're throwing in there, and it's like you don't catch on to that if you're already in your head trying to formulate something to say back to them.
Yeah, because you're done listening.
You're done listening. Yeah,
you're just hearing it so you can process. At that point, now you're thinking about your response.
Yeah,
you're not listening.
You ain't listening.
You're not listening. And because we think like that, and I, to your point, because I don't think I've ever really thought about that till you just said it, but because we are trained to think like that. We are trained to think like that. I think that we sometimes forget that not everything requires a response.
Yeah. That's true. Yes.
Not everything requires a response. Sometimes they just want to talk.
They just want to talk.
And they want somebody to understand, to be a little empathetic to the situation. Not sympathetic. They don't necessarily want you to feel sorry for them, but they want you to understand it.
Yeah.
They want you to process it and understand it. And it doesn't mean that they want anything back.
Yep.
It doesn't. It doesn't mean that they want anything. And I think for me, that was a thing that I had to learn a lot too. Was understanding that not everything required a response to an extent, right? Like, yes, I want you to acknowledge. I'm going to acknowledge that I heard you, but it doesn't necessarily mean I have to have a defense back or anything back or a response back.
Right.
And I think for me, that was good night. That was the thing. And part of that was because of the way I was raised. Like, I was raised in a way that you respond to somebody because that's the respectful thing, to let them know that you were listening. Yeah. I think it's a pet peeve of mine. Yeah. I hate when I do, like, if I'm in a class or if, military is big on it.
Yo, yeah.
They'll be up there teaching a class, like, everybody got it, and nobody will say nothing. Yep. And then they'll just move on. I'm going to always say, yes, sir. Yeah. No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No, you know what I mean?
Acknowledge somehow.
I'm going to acknowledge, because to me, that is the respectful thing to do. So I'm going to acknowledge it. So as I got older, I felt everything dignified a response. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything was supposed to get a response. Yeah. Which a lot of the times, because I was working on the response, and I stopped listening, like you said, my response is terrible.
Terrible.
It was not the response that I should have gave, because I stopped listening to what you were really trying to get me to hear.
I already made a determination.
Yeah, because I'm already, all right, you said X, Y, and Z. Okay, that's what this is about. Yeah. Let me try to give me my rebuttal or whatever it is that I'm working on. And I missed half of what you was really trying to get me to hear, because now I'm like, all right, now I'm trying to rush you so I can respond.
Hurry up, I got it. I got it figured out already.
I got it now, Did I say something that's like, I got that, I know. And I'm like, all right, it's just funny. Yeah. It's funny. I had to learn a lot.
I credit my wife, man. My wife, she really taught me how to listen.
That's good, though.
To understand. Because she would say time and time again, she's like, don't talk to me like I'm one of your troops. Like, I'm not one of your troops. Yep. I'm not one of your students that you're teaching, Like, I don't need you to say anything. Right. Just listen. Because I remember early on in our relationship and our marriage, like, she would come to me with something and I'm like, well, it's not happening like that because you're not doing this, this, and this. Yeah. And it's like, she's like, I'm not asking you to tell me what I am and I'm not doing. Right. I just wanted you to hear me out. Yeah. And I'm like, well, and I'm then really now much mature, and I look back, I'm like, oh God, man, I really didn't know how to listen. I did not know how to listen, and so man, that's important, because man, you don't know how much of an opportunity you have when someone comes to you.
For sure. Yeah.
And wants to open up. Yeah. Right. And sometimes it just takes, like you said, just to hear them out, man. Hear them out and try to find the compassion for them in that moment. Like, man, I'm so sorry that's going on. Yeah. How can I help you with this? How can I support you? And asking them what that looks like. Yes. What does that look like? Yes. If I am to support you in this and walk with you in this, how does that look like for you? Because I might have an idea of how to support somebody. Yeah. But to them, may not be receiving of that. Right. We do this a lot with our kids. It's like, they'll be going through something and we're like, okay, like, how can I help you? How can I support you? What does that look like? Yeah. And it's no different with people. Hey, man, like, you're having these bad thoughts. You're feeling depressed. I can't make those things go away for you, right? Maybe you might need more help at a different level. Yeah. But I want to be here with you and I want to walk with you. What does that look like? Right. What do you need me to do? Not, I'm going to do this for you. No, like, what do you need me to do?
Yeah, what do you need from me?
Because I might have a different understanding of what support means. Yes. And everyone does, and so, yeah, you just don't know the opportunity that you have to be an impact in someone's life. And if you just take the moment to listen, man, and just have a heart and just, he said, empathize with someone and just have compassion, for people. Because that if that opportunity's missed, like who knows if that person would ever want to open up again.
And I think that's dope. I think that's really dope that you put it like that, and that and I think that's really dope that y'all speak to y'all kids like that, because I think a lot of times as parents we feel like we know what's right.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, we had to learn through that. I mean, like, we're still learning through it.
Right.
But I think we've learned, nah, man, they're their own person.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, though. And I think hopefully to whoever, watches this and listens, I hopefully people take that, because I think that's a really good point, is understanding that even in your help, you don't necessarily have all the answers, and I think sometimes
and that's okay.
Right. And that's okay. And that's okay. And I think sometimes it's I don't know if it's pride. I don't know what it is, but I think a lot of times when we are, to your point, in that position where we're fortunate enough that somebody's coming to open up to you, we assume that they're coming to us because they feel we have all the answers. And so our natural response is, okay, I got to give them something because they came to me for a reason, right? Like, I got to give them something, instead of just doing exactly what you said and saying, hey, man, I understand that you're going through this, and, I'm sorry that this is happening to you. I'm sorry you feel this way, or whatever, whatever the conversation is. What do you need from me? How does that, what help? How can I help? Can I help? Did you want me to just listen? Do you need something else? We don't ask those questions because I think we almost don't want to let them down, and we're like, okay, they came to me, so I got to have an answer for them. All right, well, I think you should do this. Well, that worked for you. That doesn't mean it's going to work for them.
That's right.
So I think that's a really good point. I hope if people, whoever decides to watch this, listen to it, I hope they take that and they remember that. Because at some point, you're going to be the person that somebody comes to.
Yeah, you are.
And it's okay to not have the answer.
That's right.
To how to do it. And it's okay to ask them, because that helps too. Because that'll help further them getting more out. And even kind of understanding the situation. If you come back to a person's telling you something, you come back to them and you're like, hey, okay, I'm sorry. What do you need from me? How does that look like? It's going to help them to think a little more.
Yeah.
You know what
absolutely.
I mean? And kind of work through it. Like, I don't know, maybe, I'd really appreciate if you just once a week, just text me,
Okay.
Cool. Like it could be really that simple. I use that kind of same approach with, some of the fitness coaching and stuff that I do. I kind of use some of that, that same approach where it's like, you tell me what kind of help you want from me.
Yeah.
I'm here for you however you need me to be.
Right.
I know for me, you could tell me all day, hey man, you're slacking, brother. Get up, get at it. And I'm gonna be like, you're right. You know what? Let me lock in. Let me do it. Some people don't thrive in that.
They don't. Yeah.
They don't thrive with that. I know for me, just check in on me here and there.
Yeah.
For the person that's coaching me, just check in on me. I don't need you to be every day like,
right.
Just check in on me here and there. That's all I need from you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm the same way, with the people that I've helped and that I've coached. And I'm just like, you just tell me. Just let me know. And we could probably apply those same methods to almost every area in our life.
Yeah.
To the conversation of mental health, that's definitely a good principle to apply, because what helps you might not help them.
That's right.
And it's okay if you don't understand what helps them right away. Helping them, having them talk to you, they'll let you know.
Yeah.
They'll let you know. You know what I mean? And it can be the most simple thing.
Super simple.
It could be the most simple thing. And I think sometimes we try to do too much.
Yeah.
Because we feel like that's what they need or whatever. And we just try to do too much. And sometimes it's overbearing. That's not what they want.
Yeah.
You almost run them away.
Right.
You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
You'll run them away. So yeah, no, that's a super good point. And I hope people take heed to that, because I can make a difference. And
yeah, absolutely.
That can make a difference in whether or not that person gets better or not at that time, you know? So
Yeah,
it's
no,
important.
absolutely, man. So, I mean, this has been a topic of, that you've been really pushing. You got some things going.
Yeah.
Right. So let's
Yeah.
talk about that. What you got, going forward? What is this thing that you're starting? That
So
you have started.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
not many may know about it, but
Right.
yeah, let's give a plug.
Yeah,
for what it
absolutely.
is.
So some know, some don't know. I've been working on a podcast, kind of central around mental health. You know,
Yep.
so to that topic, and I know we spoke a lot about men's mental health, but it's across the board. You know, because by no means do I feel like men are the only people
Right.
that have that journey. You know, so I've been working on a podcast, getting everything started, getting everything rolling. I call it a Brewed Mentality, which was kind of a thing that's been in the works for a while, but it was layers to it, right? The podcast thing has kind of came in the latter stages of it, but so the name, a Brewed Mentality, this is exactly what it sounds like, right? Like, I think that when you start talking about processes in life, mental health is definitely a journey. It's a process.
Yeah.
Right. So I kind of felt like a Brewed Mentality was kind of fitting, right? Because when you think about the brewing process of anything, right? When you think about the brewing process of anything, there's steps.
Yeah.
The beauty of it, though, is everybody's steps looks a little different.
Yeah.
Everybody's way of making a cup of tea, as simple as it is, may be different. Some people put the tea bag in first, then the water. Some people put the water in, then the tea bag. You know, some people start with cooler water and then warm the water. I mean, there's so many different ways you can do it, right? And that goes along with anything. Beer makers, people that brew beer.
Yeah.
Steps. But they all have a little bit different steps. They all have a little bit different ingredients. But they come out to be this beautiful beer in their mind at the end, right? This beautiful crafted thing. So that's how the name kind of developed in my mind. It actually, and ironically enough, it actually started with beer. It actually started with beer. I started doing beer reviews.
Yeah.
When I first got to San Antonio, I started doing these beer reviews, and they were super simple. I would just get on Snapchat and I would talk about these beers because I was really into craft beers at the time, and I would kind of be like, all right, let me talk about these beers. Yeah. And my friends was like, you should start doing like legit beer reviews. And I'm like, all right, cool. And at the time, I was doing this little review channel on YouTube called It's Beer 30.
Okay.
Right? And then so I kind of grew, and then mental health, as we talked about a little bit, we lost a few friends, and I kind of was like, man, I was already going through my journey, but I didn't realize how many other people was going through such a deep journey. Yeah. Until we started kind of, losing some friends to suicide, unfortunately. Yeah. And I said, I need a platform. Yeah. Not necessarily for me. I just want to create a platform where people can come and talk. Come and talk about their journey. Come and talk about what they're going through, because what I started realizing is so many of us are going through one. But many of us don't realize it. Yeah. Right? And so I started kind of looking and paying attention into the world, and celebrities coming out left and right, talking about their mental health journey and things of that nature, which I think is a beautiful thing. I think it's a great thing. But oftentimes, like, we can't relate to them. Yeah. And that's not taking anything away from their journey or anything away from them or anything like that. But, like, they got problems we don't understand. I don't know what it's like to stress about $1 million deal. I don't know what it's like to worry about, making it to production for a movie or stuff like that, or playing in front of millions of people. Like, there's just different types of stress. We all are dealing with it. But what I did realize is, like, there's many of us, regular people, everyday people, who got a story that somebody else needs to hear. Yeah. Because somebody else is going through it. You know what I mean? So I was like, I wanted to create a platform for people to be able to come and speak to, and get their story out there, but not just there to get their story out there, but also to just talk.
Yeah.
And let's just talk.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about life. What are we dealing with? What are we going through? What's good?
Right.
What's bad?
Right.
What's beautiful? What's ugly? Like, let's just sit and talk.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody out there will see it and say, I'm going through that same thing.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with that same thing. Or man, I know that person and I thought they had it all together. And I didn't realize that they were going through the same thing I'm going through, or they're struggling with the same situation that I'm going through. So that, that was something that I felt it was tugging on my heart.
Nice.
And I really wanted to get it going. I switched the focus though, as I kind of thought and prayed about it. I didn't want it to be centralized around the thought of beer, and stuff like that. So I definitely took some time to withdraw it a little bit and kind of refocus, change the logo, because the logo to it is way different than the logo that it was.
Right.
But I needed to reconstruct. And that's not to say that I'm opposed to having a beer with somebody.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be not focused around that and not centralized around that, especially when we start talking about mental health,
right?
And the effects that alcohol can have,
of course,
on your mental health.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be sending kind of a
mixed message.
Mixed message. Yeah. I didn't want it to be like, oh, let's talk about mental health. Why we have this thing that's probably not the best for our mental health, right?
Yeah.
But I still wanted the opportunity for people to come in and, I think it's something about sitting back and having a drink, but it doesn't necessarily have to be an alcoholic beverage.
Right.
A cup of coffee.
Yeah.
A cup of tea.
Yeah.
And if it is a beer, there's non-alcoholic ones, there's alcoholic ones.
Absolutely.
We're going to sit down.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy a nice drink, whatever it is, cup of coffee, cup of tea, a beer. And let's just talk about life. Let's just talk and have fun, and joke, laugh, hey, maybe even cry. Who knows? Let's just, sit and talk. And I finally, been able to get the ball rolling and get the process started, to that mental health journey. It took me a minute. I dealt with, some imposter syndrome, I'm kind of feeling like I'm not the guy they need to hear from, though. And I'm not the guy that should be doing this. I agree that it should be out there, but it should be somebody else, and I battled with that for a while. I talked to my therapist about it several times. I battled with that, but then also my past, like I said, there was things growing up. I don't feel like I was the best person. I don't think I was a terrible person, but I don't feel like I was the best person. I made a lot of mistakes, ruined a lot of relationships, did a lot of dumb stuff, so that was the other part of it too, is like, I didn't want somebody to look at it and be like, yeah, but I know who you were. You know what I'm saying? And how you gonna come and talk to us about this now when I know who you were? And I had to get through that. I spoke to my brother, and my brother, thankfully for our conversation with him, because he told me, he said, this is, first of all, that's the enemy, because you got something. The enemy is only fighting so hard from it because it's something that needs to be done. So I want you to first take that. The devil is definitely trying to keep you from doing this for a reason. You know what I mean? He said, but I also, bro, I want you to understand that everything that you did, obviously is my brother, so everything that you did, all the mistakes that you made, you needed to make them. He said, hear me out. You needed to make them so that you could do what you're doing now, so you could deliver the message. He said, God needed, he said, for all of us, to be the kids that we were, and we turned into. He said, God needed us to go through all of these things to be able to get to the point that we were in life and be able to share that story.
Amen.
And to be able to understand other people who might have did some of the same things, and had some of the same struggles, made some of the same mistakes. He said, make no mistake, and understand that God made no mistakes. And the things that you did, you might look at them as these terrible things. He said, but they were all part of God's perfect plan. And you had to do them to know how to be the person that you are now.
That's facts, man. That's so
and
true.
so I needed to hear that.
That's good.
And then obviously, like you said in the beginning, me and you had several conversations.
It's a long one.
Oh my Lord. several conversations, but they all were needed.
good.
They were all needed, and I know I needed them to be able to have I guess you could say, courage.
Yeah.
To be able to start this, seeing you and your wife and you all start your podcast and set up the platform that you guys have. It's a blessing to see people like this, not to downplay any of the success that we've had in life, but just regular people, right? Regular people.
I'm just Jesse, bro. I ain't nobody. Yeah. I ain't nobody with status or anything. Yeah, man.
But it's a blessing to have people like you in my life, because I needed to see these things. I needed to have those conversations.
Yeah.
To get to the point now where I'm able to say, hey Jesse, like, I'm gonna speak to you. Let's sit in front of these microphones and let's do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say it would have never happened. Because I think that, to my brother's point, it was something that God wanted out there. He's going to get it.
He's going to get it out there.
He's going to get it out there. So I don't want to say it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
I might have delayed it more. I don't know, but I think it's happening right when it's supposed to be happening. I went through some ups and downs.
Yep.
I went through some therapy sessions.
Yeah.
I went through some conversations talking to my wife saying, I don't know. And, to our point earlier, her unwavering support.
Yeah, that's important.
One way or another. But also the encouragement to let me know, you can do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that you should do it.
Yeah.
And she's been super supportive the whole way, even the excitement of me telling her that you were coming over today for us to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've had a lot of good support. I've had a lot of good support from her, from family, from you. Like I was telling you a few weeks ago, talked to one of our coworkers, Hardy, and he gave me a great message. Jamal's doing a lot of good things, and I've been watching him. But he gave me a lot of encouragement that I think I really needed to hear too. I've been fortunate.
Yeah.
To have people like that in my life. That got me to this point, that got me to be able to have the courage to say, let's really start this project.
Yeah.
And get that going out there, because I was delaying it, and it's funny because one of the things that Jamal said was, people listen to you, bro. You just got to give them something to listen to.
Yeah.
And I really needed to hear that, but it was so funny because, to our point, I needed at that moment to be the person to listen, and so
that's good
to bring it back, because I want to give this space, this platform to be able to speak and get this knowledge and this information and this platform about mental health and these journeys out there. But I needed to first sit back and listen, and it's a person, with him, it's speaking to you, speaking to my brother. These are all people that are speaking to me, speaking to me about something that I needed to do and something that was time to do. And I needed to hear it, but I needed to be able to listen to it, to truly listen to it and take it in and say, and internalize it and say, okay, what am I supposed to take from this? Right. Because who knows what the message could have been.
Right.
The message could have been all over the place, but gratefully, I'd been working on listening.
Yeah. That's good, man.
So that, that's how we got here.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get it started. And I'm ready to get things rocking and rolling. I think it's been a thing that's been in the works for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. Anybody who has seen it, anybody who has seen the Instagram page that I have for it, they know it's been something I've been working on for a long time. I've been pretty transparent when I speak on it about some of the things that I've been struggling with. And it's been nothing but support. But support. So I'm grateful to be where I'm at now.
Yeah.
To say, all right, a brewed mentality. It's time to
come on, man.
Time to show your
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah,
we're looking forward to it, man. And it's a beautiful thing. For me, like what brings me so much joy is just to be able to see how much just a little bit of encouragement can really drive someone to really pursue the things that they want to do, right? Because I think all we can do is just be willing vessels, in support of people. And like I said, it just goes full circle, like whether it's mental health, whether it's, ambitions that you want to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the only thing I could have told you was like, bro, like do it. And I have resources to help you do it.
Yeah.
You let me know when you're ready.
Yes.
But just know that I'm here. I'm down.
Yeah.
And I think if we can just be that to people, whether it's mental health.
Yeah.
Hey, I know you're going through some things mentally. I know it might not look all sunshines and rainbows right now, but I believe that you can get there.
Yeah.
And guess what? Like, I'm here as support for you.
And I appreciate it.
You can call on me whenever. I don't care what time of the day it is. Morning, night, I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
And so when you text me, like you text me, like, hey, bro, like, remember the conversation we were having? I'm ready. I was like, heck yeah, let's go. Yeah. Let's do it now. And then I'm like, oh, shit, I forgot I'm going on vacation. I was like, so, but no, and just being intentional.
Yeah.
I remember I told my wife, hey, when I get back, I'm going to record Mac. So that's the first thing I did when we got back. Hey, bro, like, I'm free on this day. You free?
Yep.
Let's do it. And so, and I think you said just that consistency.
Yeah.
When you say you're going to do something and really, following through.
Yeah.
For people. Yeah. Because that's really that matters to people. And so, my man.
Hey, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir, man. What a great conversation.
Yeah.
Man, we might have to chop this up in two parts. This is a long one, but there's so much value in this conversation, and and I'm praying that people can really listen. Yeah. Listen to it, and really reflect on their lives, man, and reflect on their mental health. Yeah. Reflect on their spiritual health, physical health, and get the help, man. Get the help if you need it. Yes. Even if you don't need it, and you just want to take an account for your life and say, like, man, like, why am I the way I am? I would encourage someone that's listening to this, reach out to somebody, for sure. Talk to somebody, find yourself a community, and because, man, that's when we really thrive, is when we have that encouragement, right? When we have that support, and we have people there walking alongside us in this journey, right? And so, yeah, man, it's been great.
It has, and I appreciate you again. Can't say it enough. Pulling up, coming through, the encouragement, the words, the talks. You know what I mean. But I think that's a true testament to just who you are. You know what I mean. Y'all are doing great things. We were conversating earlier about what you guys did yesterday with the people in Kerrville that are affected by the flood and everything, man. But all those things that you are doing, man, I think it's a true testament to who you are. Like we said, 2012, 2013 time frame.
Yeah, who knew, right?
We met, and who knew we would have been at this point? Yeah. You know what I mean? But back to that word you've been using, consistency, it just goes to show the type of person you are, because I have reached out time and time again, year after year, topic after topic. Yeah. Man, and like you just said, I truly believe it, that you're there to help, because there's never been a time that I've reached out that you haven't given me an answer. You know what I mean? Whether it was an answer I wanted or not, you haven't, you know what I mean? So I definitely appreciate that, and I appreciate the opportunity. And I know for what you and your wife going, I hope to see that continue to grow, man, because that's a blessing too. That's a blessing too. And I think that while I'm, on this journey and talk about mental health and stuff, just to see what you guys are doing and the platform that you have, and to see y'all do it together. I think that's an example that a lot of young cats and older cats in some cases, you know what I'm saying? I think they need to see, man. So
we try.
So kudos to y'all, man, and blessings to y'all, you and appreciate your family. We're going through this year quickly, man. It's almost 2026, but I'm excited to see what's
Same here, man.
I'm excited to see what's to come.
We're excited to see where a Brewed Mentality is gonna go.
Like
I said, we're here to support.
And
we're here to support, man. And so, yeah, man. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Absolutely.
And man, Yeah, if y'all have any questions or whatever, reach out. And but yeah, we just want to let y'all know that there's someone out there for you that loves you, that wants to support you, that wants to pour into your life. I mean, you just got to be willing to open up. And so until next time.
Y'all be blessed, man.
Absolutely. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir.